Welcome to Vermontitude, a collaborative effort between Great Eastern Radio, the Brattleboro Reformer, and BCTV to bring you the stories behind the stories on the topics you want to learn more about. Because there's always more, so there'll always be Vermontitude. Hosted by me, Peter Fish Case. Welcome to Vermontitude. New episodes drop every Tuesday and can be found by going to vermontitude.com, reformer.com, brattleboro.tv, and locally on Comcast Channel 1078. We come to you from the studios at the Innovation Box on Flat Street. I'm Peter Fish Case, and each week I cover the topics that are of concern to Windham County and the towns that reside within its borders. Joining Vermontitude today is Chris Mays, reporter from the Brattleboro Reformer. Welcome, sir.
Good morning.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
All right. So we have some things that we want to drill into. We've got the Last Mile Food Project, the new food truck in town, which will be fun to talk about, the changes at Groundworks Collaborative, and the Dover Free Library and what happened there recently. But let's get started with, if we could, the Last Mile Food Project. Let's talk about that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the people at West River Valley Mutual Aid, they were running Everyone Eats in that area.
Right.
It was basically in Newfane, but they were doing the surrounding valley. Mm-hmm. And once Everyone Eats was planned to end, they started thinking about the people they had been delivering to, the vulnerable people who can't drive and don't have the same access to food programs. And they came up with this idea to keep it running. They partnered up with the Townsend Community Food Shelf, and they got a grant from the United Way of Windham County, and there was never a gap in services.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So I've been talking with some of the people who are running the program, and it really is great to see how this worked out. One of the founders of the mutual aid group told me, you would think that it would be easy to just kind of put it together since everything was kind of in place already from Everyone Eats, but it was a little bit more complicated than that. Yeah, no,
it's I imagine it's like a car, right? With kind of, and then the engine goes, and it's not. I mean, it's still a car, but you got to put a whole new engine in to get that thing to run forward. So good for them for putting that together. Now, is this a thing that's going to be sustainable, and how are they going to sustain it?
Well, that's a great question and a great analogy, because one of the major challenges has been getting volunteers, keeping up the volunteerism. They had a lot of people for Everyone Eats, but they were thinking this might not be sustainable in the long run. So some of that grant money is going to pay a driver and a coordinator who works on the routes.
Oh.
And now they're trying to hand it off to a larger organization because they're just a volunteer group.
Right.
And so they're trying to find somebody who might be able to take it on for the long term.
Okay. All right. So, and they're actively looking for that person now?
Yes.
All right. Have they, is there a way for the community at large to contribute if they want to volunteer? Do you know who they might reach out to?
I think the best way is to go through the Townsend Community Food Shelf or reach out to the West River Valley Mutual Aid Group. They're always looking for people to get involved in different initiatives. So if it's not this one, they have other ones where they're helping people and their neighbors.
Right. Yeah. No, they that whole organization's been around for a while, and they do a lot of good work behind the scenes. So they might be doing something good. You like it. You might not even know it's them behind there.
Yeah. I feel sort of privileged to be on their email list because I do get an idea of what they're doing. I live in that valley, so I'd like to hear about it too.
That's good. All right, so a new food truck in town. It's called Crossroads.
Yes, they've been over at the Exit 1 the Exit 4 gas station, the Sunoco over there.
Yeah.
I think they opened in mid-April, and they were expecting to get more traffic off the highway, and they weren't seeing a lot of traffic off the highway. They were getting a lot of people from Putney, Dummerston, and Brattleboro. Mm-hmm. So this weekend they made the move to in front of the Black Mountain Inn, and they're going to open on Wednesday. They have authentic Hispanic and American street food.
Okay, and that's on Putney Road.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that is kind of like right by Black Mountain, the Black Mountain Plaza.
Yeah.
Black
right
Mountain
across.
Road. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And tell us a little about, so how long have these folks been in business?
Well, They started by going to events. They would bring a grill and they would work events, and then they eventually got this food shed. Or a food trailer. They kind of go by either name, and they had some challenges getting it up and running, but they've been doing it since April. And the cook, the mastermind behind it all, he was formerly at Echo, and before that, the family lived in Houston, where he got educated in culinary arts. He worked in fine dining. And now he's setting out on his own.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, best of luck to him. I think the guy's name is Jeremy, correct?
Right. Yeah.
All right. If I recall correctly. All right. Let's touch on this. So coming up this Thursday, I will be doing my day-long food drive for Groundworks Collaborative. We know that they've had one hell of a year. A lot of things to overcome. The motel program's ending, that horrific thing that happened at the shelter, but they took a pause, and now you were able to talk with those guys about some of those pauses and some of those changes.
Yeah, they were set up at the community safety fair last week. Yep. So I talked with them a little bit about what they've been thinking about in terms of community safety. And since their wind down, they've made some policy changes at the shelter. They have breaks in between the day and nighttime shelter, which provides the staff time to meet alone and privately and get a little reprieve before the nighttime crew comes through. And they're doing all these things to promote health and safety of their employees and the residents.
Right.
They're making people fill out these forms as soon as they become a client at the drop-in center. And it just sounds like they're really being intentional about how to make things better for the group.
Yeah, well, it's certainly not easy work. It's probably very stressful. It's probably very emotional. So I think being able to take a small breather during the day at any point in time to kind of just hit that reset button is important. So good for them for recognizing that. And actually putting forth a plan to do just that. Anything else that they let you know about?
Yeah, they're sort of cracking down or being more strict about some of the behavior they're willing to tolerate.
Right.
So that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything specific when you say, just is it like more of a belligerent?
Yeah, and there's a restorative process people can go through to be able to come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Yeah. It's really important that you have this stuff dialed in light of everything that's been happening and going on. It's been a lot. It really has been. And my hat's off to that entire staff for getting this thing dialed back in.
Yeah, and when we were talking about their concerns about community safety, one of their big things is the people who are out there living in tents right now.
Yeah.
They're worried about them. Their safety is at risk at times.
Yeah. No, it's not an ideal situation by any stretch. All right, let's head over a little closer to the Deerfield Valley. Actually, it is the Deerfield Valley. And let's talk for a moment about the Dover Free Library. John Flores was the director of the library. Director? Got that term correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he kind of abruptly got let go.
Yeah, he had been butting heads with the board of trustees.
Yeah.
But he wasn't expecting to get fired. He's been there for 24 years. He wanted to get one more before retirement. They had a process. They evaluated, gave him a job evaluation, and they ultimately terminated his position. And there was a big community meeting. People are really upset about it. They want to know more about why. Some of the reasons we've learned about involve purchasing items. He didn't want to purchase items at all from Amazon.
Right. Which I defend.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, if you don't, you're doing business locally in a community, even if it costs $1 or $2 more, I think it's money well spent.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
So I think they wanted to buy products because they're cheaper, supplies from Amazon, and he wasn't for it. And then, a former library trustee He resigned because he was butting heads with the board, and he basically said he thinks that they're micromanaging the library and trying to do things that are outside of their purview.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I understand it, the hierarchy of a board is that John would be the only person that they sort of can micromanage. But if it sounded to me from the article I read and the things that I've heard that they were like literally just trying to infiltrate every aspect of the library. So not an ideal situation for anybody, but very avoidable. But John took the hit.
Yeah, and I went to a community meeting where I think there might have been more or just as many people at annual town meetings. So it's important to people.
Yeah,
they want to know what's going on.
Yeah. So I mean, any hope to get this resolved, or is this just kind of a done deal at this point?
It seems like a done deal right now, but there might be a lawsuit coming from John. There was a wrongful termination suit in Rockingham or Bellows Falls, and that library director was reinstated. So people are hopeful that might happen here,
Okay. All right. So John's not necessarily gone for the moment, but maybe not for the long term.
Yeah, the board has defended its decision.
Of course it has.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're going to do. They make a decision. You defend that decision, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's too bad. I always sort of hate when small communities like this have this sort of an upheaval, especially for a guy who seems to be in the community and long revered and well respected member of the community. So this is not an easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
Anything else we got coming up?
Well, as you know, on Tuesday we have the select board meeting.
No, really? I better put that in my calendar.
Well, we're going to hear, where we're at with the EMS project plan, the transition plan, and another thing I'm interested to hear about is the plan for budgeting for the use of the American Rescue Act plan funds.
Okay. All right. Very good. Can't go into that. But Chris Mace, thanks for jumping on the program on Vermontitude and filling us in.
Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Take care.